Hi everyone, I'm Eric with the Quibblers, and I'm here today with another Harry Potter fan theory. I know it's been a long time since our last theory video, and I'm going to try to keep this one a little bit shorter, with the exception of a little bit of backstory to help understand why I'm even coming up with this theory. So I was watching a fan theory video by another YouTube channel called Harry Potter Theory. If you don't follow them now, you should definitely follow them and check out some of their videos. They're really, really good. Really well thought out, and there's a whole bunch that you can check out and probably enjoy. So I was watching a video from that channel that explains the relationship between Voldemort and Nagini, and that also goes into the backstory of Voldemort being born under the influence of a love potion and his inability to love as a repercussion of that. And his relationship with Nagini actually got me thinking about something. For those of you who don't know, because it wasn't all that well explained in the book series. In fact, I don't think it was completely explained at all in the book series. But if you've read some of J.K. Rowling's writings, or if you've seen the Fantastic Beasts, particularly The Crimes of Grindelwald, you'll know that Nagini was actually not a snake. Nagini was a witch who had a blood curse, which made her what we call a maledictus. A maledictus is a witch or wizard with a blood curse that forces them to transform into a beast, eventually permanently. They will no longer be able to take on their human form. So in the Fantastic Beasts movies, we actually see this happen with Nagini, where she voluntarily turns into a beast, but it is explained that eventually this transformation will be permanent. What's interesting about this is that means that Nagini is no longer going to be able to communicate with other witches or wizards, save for those who have the gift of Parseltongue. So a descendant of Salazar Slytherin, such as Voldemort, would be able to talk to her. We also know that Voldemort met Nagini in I think it's the Black Forest in Albania. This is where he actually turns Nagini into a Horcrux. And that is sort of the central component of this theory. Nagini is both a witch and also a Horcrux. Now, it's generally inadvisable to turn a living thing into a Horcrux because you don't want that Horcrux to be able to think and decide to do things for itself, because it could either, one, get itself killed, two, that Horcrux being mortal inevitably makes it so that your Horcrux can be destroyed, and three, you could make an argument that that Horcrux could give itself away, so to speak, depending on what the mortal being is that you put the Horcrux inside of. So generally inadvisable, but we know that Voldemort does do this. With that aside, we also know that Nagini does, in fact, end up being killed. Now, the interesting thing is, when we are watching the Harry Potter series, we really don't know that Nagini is a maledictus, unless you're watching it now and you have seen the Fantastic Beasts series, in which case I think it kind of spoils it for you if you've seen that first. But we don't know that Nagini is a maledictus, and because of this, when she's killed, we just view it as Voldemort's snake getting killed. Throughout the series, Nagini is referred to as Voldemort's snake, not as a witch or wizard, not as really even her own entity. She's really just viewed as Voldemort's snake. So kind of an extension of the main antagonist of the series. And so when she dies, we're sort of rooting for this. We're rooting for Nagini to be destroyed because we know all the Horcruxes need to be destroyed. Otherwise, Harry and the rest of the good wizards can't win. Neither can live while the other survives, as the prophecy goes. And so when Neville Longbottom kills her with the Sword of Gryffindor, he doesn't understand that he's not just killing Voldemort's snake. He's actually killing a witch. And this got me thinking about some repercussions, or potential interesting repercussions. Now, we know that in order to form a Horcrux, one must commit murder. Murder splits the soul. And we know that Voldemort has done this more so than anyone, and he intended to split the soul 7 times. He unintentionally, if you do the math, split it 8 times, because there's the component of soul in himself as well as the 7 Horcruxes that he made, Harry being the second to last and the unintentional one. Now, we did a theory video about the night that Voldemort tried to kill Harry and unintentionally made him a Horcrux, but the mixture of him unintentionally making a Horcrux and Nagini being a person and a Horcrux being destroyed by Neville Longbottom got me thinking, if Neville killed Nagini, who is both a witch and a Horcrux, did he actually end up tearing his soul? He technically committed murder. Whether it was intentional or not, he did murder somebody. And if he tore his soul, will his soul repair, or will he be trapped in a limbo, just like we see Voldemort trapped in a limbo when Harry visits his sort of ethereal version of King's Cross Station? A lot of people view that component of Voldemort as the piece of soul that was trapped in Harry. But in an interview with J.K. Rowling, she actually stated that that is not a piece of soul that was trapped in Harry, that piece of soul would have been destroyed. And so he's actually not seeing the component of soul that was latched to him. He is seeing the tattered bits of Voldemort that are left. So that is what Voldemort has reduced himself to from a soul standpoint. That's kind of an interesting concept, because that means that when he tried to kill Harry again and destroyed his own Horcrux, this is all that remains of him, a piece of his soul trapped in limbo. So you kind of wonder, when Neville killed the Horcrux that was in Nagini and simultaneously committed murder, did a piece of him get torn? And if so, that leads to two possible repercussions. One, he could get trapped in limbo because he's now torn his soul. I think that's less likely, because if you think about what happened during the First and Second Wizarding Wars, people killed other witches and wizards, and this was often in the name of self-preservation. You can even make that argument for the bad guys, but I'm really talking about the people on the good side, the Order of the Phoenix. They would have had to been put in situations where it was either kill or be killed. And so they would have killed some of the dark witches and wizards that were coming after them. I don't think that that would have torn their souls, at least not in a way that they couldn't be repaired and eventually move on from limbo. But it does beg the question with Neville in particular. He killed someone who may or may not be an innocent. We don't know that Nagini was acting out of her own free will. She could have also been manipulated by the fact that Voldemort is the only one she can talk to, being a Parseltongue, and had developed this sort of sick relationship with him, because if you watch the Fantastic Beasts series, she does seem like she's probably on the good side. She's a good person. This is even sort of emphasized by the fact that she chooses not to partner with Grindelwald and instead stay again with Newt and the good side of people. And so it brings up an interesting dilemma. If he murdered Nagini, did he split his soul? If he split his soul like Voldemort when he tried to kill Harry, could his soul have attached that split piece to something else? Could he have unintentionally created a Horcrux? My theory would be that if so, he probably unintentionally would have attached a piece of his soul to the Sword of Gryffindor. Now this is kind of fitting, because this is Neville's sort of shining moment. And if he did attach a piece of his soul unintentionally, it would be interesting because, one, he didn't kill somebody out of hatred or malice. He killed them out of, again, self-preservation. This was an act of heroicism, not an act of evil. And he knew that just by attacking Voldemort's snake, he could be stricken down right then and there. Voldemort could have killed him in an instant. I don't know that he actually knew that the snake was a Horcrux. He just knew that killing the snake would harm Voldemort in some way. So it would have been the first Horcrux made out of heroicism rather than malice. And it would be interesting if it was the Sword of Gryffindor, because that is the one founder that Voldemort was unable to make a Horcrux from. He had Helga Hufflepuff's cup, he had Rowena Ravenclaw's diadem, he had Slytherin's locket. The Gaunt ring, which is a Gaunt family heirloom, is also a Slytherin family heirloom, and that was passed down from Slytherin. And so he was able to get two from Slytherin, one from Hufflepuff, one from Ravenclaw, but nothing from Gryffindor. So it would be really interesting if the one with the power to vanquish the Dark Lord, which could have been Neville, if everyone remembers the prophecy, Neville and Harry were both born as the seventh month dies. Both of them had parents that twice defied the Dark Lord, and both of them could have represented the person who brings down Voldemort. The only distinguishing difference is the prophecy also says he shall mark him as his equal, and he shall have powers that the Dark Lord knows not. Powers that the Dark Lord knows not implied the power of love. And the Dark Lord doesn't know love because he was born under the influence of a love potion, and he can't love. He also had nobody there to love him. He grew up in an orphanage. And then marks him as his equal. Well, that was Voldemort's own doing. He marked Harry as his equal by trying to kill him, and Harry was protected by the power of love, which then rebounded and destroyed Voldemort's physical being. So, I want you guys to comment below on this theory. And I know this is sort of a light theory and maybe even grasping at straws a little bit, but I'd love for you to comment on this. One, do you think that in killing Nagini, who is technically a witch who may be innocent and is trapped in the form of a snake, did Neville actually split his soul? Two, do you think Neville will be trapped in limbo because he split his soul? Three, do you think he could have unintentionally created a Horcrux like Voldemort did? And four, do you think that Horcrux would be the Sword of Gryffindor? Alright guys, that's it for this theory video. I really hope you enjoy this and find this entertaining, and I hope it makes you think a little bit more about the series and about all the seemingly random things that we're able to pick out of the Harry Potter series and continue to discuss. If you guys have another topic within the Harry Potter universe that you would like me to discuss, or if you have a theory of your own, please feel free to leave that down in the comment section below. If you like these types of videos, please feel free to subscribe, like this video, and share it with other people who you think might enjoy this content. And until next time, finite.